In these very tumultuous times, it's nice waking up to having a yet another good weekend as an Oklahoma State fan. But don't get too excited because did you know that Texas A&M's in the SEC? Therefore, they inherently already have a better second string roster than our first string roster, which is why they're still projected to win in some places.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you for stopping by. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube, and find me personally on Twitter at AllDayOState. Today, we're partially brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedon and use that code LOCKEDON for first deposit match up to $100. So today, we get to talk a little bit about some publications that seem to still feel that even though Texas A&M has lost an exorbitant amount of players through the transfer portal, not only just players, but a significant number of starters, and you are hearing how they're trying to go without an offense coordinator, without a defense coordinator, without a head coach, without all these players. So I would have guessed that the common consensus nationally would have been, well, if Oklahoma State's playing almost everybody, and Texas A&M is going to have to mix and match and shuffle their way to find 22 starters, that most everybody would have Oklahoma State as the favorite. But here we are. And this whole thing started with me. I dove into a Heartland College Sports article, and it talked about how most of the prognostications or experts that pick on there, a lot of them did pick Oklahoma State, but it was like by 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 4 points. And then there were some people between Heartland because, of course, I dove down the rabbit hole of other prognostications in regards to this game. And I was actually very surprised with how many guesses had the game as a 3-point game. And yes, even some people still have Texas A&M winning, even with their third string quarterback in this hodgepodge of a roster. Now, I think that's ridiculous. I think that's laughable. And I think that the talent that is inside the Oklahoma State locker room, there's not going to be a lot of opportunities for bulletin board material. Unfortunately, Texas A&M doesn't really have a hand in this bulletin board style of material. But nonetheless, this is another jab at Oklahoma State in the Big 12 in general. A lot of people were able to take some jabs with the Big 12 title game and how that kind of was able to shake out. So I think because of that, and obviously getting to double digits and 10 wins is a very difficult thing to do, there was a decent amount of motivation coming into this bowl game against Texas A&M for Oklahoma State. But from a national perspective, I think this is now kind of kicked up a little bit of an extra notch here. Now it needs to be, okay, fine. If this is how the national media still feels that a shell of a roster can still beat or hang with Oklahoma State at full strength, let's send a message, because I don't think it would bode well if that were to happen. Right? I don't think that that would sit well with me personally. I don't think it would sit very well with a lot of you, because the idea that, the mid-tier teams in the SEC are better than the top-tier teams in the Big 12, it's games like this that allow credence to that conversation to exist. Let's face it, Oklahoma State should kind of boat race this game. If Oklahoma State does, in fact, have the talent that I feel like we do, there is absolutely no way, other than some crazy, crazy madness. And I'm talking Texas A&M going for it on every single fourth down type of scenario and not punting whatsoever, not kicking at all whatsoever. It would take one of those crazy, we're going to go for everything on every play type of scenarios for it to even really be close. This is not a disrespect to Texas A&M, but the common consensus still seems to be this is Texas A&M. They're an SEC school. They've been able to recruit financially all of the best players in America. So even if they're going to lose a bunch of people, they're going to automatically reload because the rest of their roster is still a bunch of 4- and 5-star dudes as well. So again, why this should be disrespectful for every player that's in that locker room, this should be disrespectful to Rob Glass to think that Texas A&M has the ability to have their second, third, and fourth string more physically equipped and ready to play the game of football than Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's starters are first team. So I do think that we should send a message, and I hope that we absolutely do. This shouldn't be a game. If Texas A&M was full tilt with every single starter against Oklahoma State with every single starter, then I would think that a lot of these people making these observations make sense. But to hear that A&M's third string and second string guys are still player for player better than Oklahoma State, that's what I was reading in Heartland. That's what I was seeing in some of these other publications as well. There are people out there that still think that Texas A&M has more talent than Oklahoma State. This Oklahoma State squad that's returning everybody, and everybody for the most part will be playing in the bowl game, I find it disastrously laughable if they were to even hang in this game. So hopefully the players are not, you don't want them, getting bogged down in what the national media type of people are saying, but it should be at least passed along that, hey, by the way, they think that our roster and the Big 12 is so insignificant that a lot of people still are saying that position by position, Texas A&M is better, even missing all of these dudes. Not a lot of bulletin board material for this one, and I'm not even necessarily saying that is, but it's something, and it's enough that we need to just put that bed to rest very, very quickly and early on. Now you're giving us a lot of time to script. I really, 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 really anticipate that our players do send a message that half of the SEC is not close to the top of the Big 12. And then afterwards, if Oklahoma State does absolutely demolish Texas A&M, then ironically enough, the storyline is going to be, well, of course they did. The A&M's on their second, third string team. So honestly, this is kind of a lose-lose. I mean, you should win. When you do win, everyone's going to say, well, yeah, you should have won. Even those same people writing right now that today, the rosters that will take the field in the Texas Bowl today still have Oklahoma State not on the Texas A&M level. It blows my ever-loving mind how you can watch people like Nick Martin and Ollie Gordon. Actually, you know what? Anybody can be talking about, oh, yeah, of course, you're talking about Ollie and Nick. You can go beyond that. You can look at somebody like a Justin Kirkland or a Colin Clay or a Cam Smith or a DJ McKinney and a Cam Epps. And to reasonably think that Texas A&M's backups are better than all those guys, I hope that we shut that down real quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I hope that we make a statement in doing so. This should be a 17, 20-point victory. It should be. They don't have much of a roster. And the coach that's going to interim this game is leaving directly after the game to go take his new defensive coordinator job. Like, it just, there's nothing on paper that to me indicates that this A&M roster is better. Even if they had all of their coaches, and this many de facto guys leaving, I still don't think that that's, yeah. Anyways, Anywho, let's talk about some good stuff. Some good stuff would be keeping your car rocking and rolling. eBay Motors is going to do that for you. The weather's getting worse, and that's typically where some of your dirty, nasty, ugly things inside your vehicle seem to come out. With the right passion, drive, and patience, eBay Motors is going to help you bring home the victory in your ride or die rig, because they have everything you need to maintain your rig. Even level it up or just keep it in peak performance. From roof racks to exhaust kits to superchargers to LED lighting kits, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be able to find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, every part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, they want you to be burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need, all the prices you want, it's super easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that W. Keep your ride or die rig alive at ebaymotors.com. Again, that is ebaymotors.com. Go there now to make sure your vehicle is operating at optimal performance. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Speaking of the locker room and the roster feeling a little disrespected, as they should, we also get to take a little bit of solace in the fact that we've got some Cowboys that have decided to come on home. One of them we predicted, which was Kobe Hilton, the 6 foot, 205-pound safety from UTEP, formerly of NEO out of Miami, Oklahoma. So he's made his journey kind of as a step-up gradual process. And now in his graduation year, he wants to come finish it off at Oklahoma State. And the reason that I wanted to kind of circle back around on this, it's because of what he said. I think that kind of struck me. Whenever he was discussing why it ended up being Oklahoma State as opposed to other, because he definitely had other suitors, he said it's just the family vibe and the feel that it had. Right? He could tell that everybody's into it in that locker room and everybody is all in on Oklahoma State. He felt the love not only from the staff and the locker room, but also the town. I mean, you hear that a decent amount. You hear how Oklahoma State is a destination for a particular type of guy, for a guy that's coming to accomplish a particular style thing, if you will. And that same thing can be said about the other guy who we didn't have the opportunity to talk about because, I'll be honest with you, didn't even know this was coming. Didn't even know this was a possibility. But Isaiah Glass transferred from Arizona State to Oklahoma State. He made that decision also over the weekend. And it's a pretty common theme here. We were in on him when he went through the original recruiting process. So he already had a little bit of an established relationship with Charlie Dickey. And in his time at Arizona State, like the dude played a legitimate amount. And then having that relationship with Charlie Dickey, whenever, him and the staff, they were a little bit of at odds, I guess, after his injury this year. He started Washington State, started for a couple of years before that as well. And then he turned down K-State, Arizona, Iowa State, Oregon State, Utah, and Oklahoma State before settling on Arizona State. But in that time, we were able to maintain that relationship. And obviously having some cordial conversations with him whenever we were playing Arizona State the last couple of years goes a long way. And here, where I think this is a double down on Hilton coming down to this new reinvigorated culture. So we lost Semesi Tonga, a high school recruit, because we had so many offensive linemen coming back. He decided to take his talents to Arizona State because he didn't see a path to the field for a few years in Stillwater. And that's fair. But how ironic is it that we have one kid that's like, there's not really a way for me to see the field. I'm going to go somewhere else. Followed by somebody who's already started at the Power 5 level and graded out very, very successfully, only giving up 7 sacks last year and 0 sacks this year. How ironic is it that he's coming knowing that we've got all 6 of our dudes back? To me, that speaks volumes. He's coming to Oklahoma State knowing we return every single guy, plus somebody like a Joe Maholsky who can hit every single spot, and a Jason Queso-Brooks who can go to multiple spots, and a Cole Birmingham who can play multiple spots, and Dalton Cooper to some degree could even play multiple spots. Jake Springfield's already proven to play multiple spots. So you got a guy that's already proven it at this level against Oklahoma State that wants to come, even though he knows we're bringing all these guys back. Tell me that is not an indictment on this new reinvigorated Cowboy culture proving itself time and time again. Now, shout out to Ladarius Webb, found a home at Tulane. I do see that the transition from corner to safety, and maybe it wasn't exactly what he was looking for. I do think that Tulane got a good guy. But I also think, see, back full circle again, the reason why I'm pretty excited about Kobe Hilton coming in is because the same reasons I was insanely excited about Ladarius Webb. Right? Ladarius Webb is somebody who hits like a safety, who attacks the cornerback position like a safety. And that it made so much sense for him to switch from corner to safety at Oklahoma State because that's the way he plays the game. Well, Kobe Hilton plays the game like a linebacker. He loves to come down and punish. What does Kendall Daniels love to do? What does most of the secondary for Oklahoma State love to do? Whatever our linebackers love to do. We love to come play smash mouth football, which leaves us susceptible over the top occasionally, which is why our secondary has gotten beat up a couple times this year. But the same reasons I thought Ladarius Webb was going to be an absolute stud, because of the physicality, being that he played way, way bigger than his size. This is the same thing for Kobe Hilton. And I think, again, the indictment on how positive the Cowboy culture is right at this very moment is why we were able to get Isaiah to come in from Arizona State. He knows that the competition to play is pretty crazy. So he knows the likelihood of him starting this year is pretty slim. But he also wants to be a part of the winning culture that Oklahoma State has. He also wants to be a part of basically knowing there's assurances he'll be at a bowl game. He'll be able to experience those extra practices and being invited to the bowl gift presentations and the trips and everything that comes with it. He's unfortunately had to miss out on all that. He did go to Arizona State and play immediately as a freshman. So the talent is not a question. And him coming in, I think, puts more things to bed or to rest than makes things more scary. Right? I'm still hearing even more good news about Ollie Gordon over the weekend. So that's something to look forward to. Another thing to look forward to is our Cowboys basketball team might just be figuring it out. I don't know if I want to go quite that far, but Oklahoma State's won 2 in a row. We don't want to get too crazy excited about that. Yeah, okay. But we've seen portions of the season where we knew we had guys, right? We've had portions in the season where Javon Small has gone crazy for 25, 26 points. We've had portions of the season where Bryce Thompson looked like he was going to be a little bit better of a shooter, right? The shooter that we envisioned whenever he committed to Oklahoma State after leaving KU, right? We've had a little bit of a good understanding of what Brandon Garrison can be. And that goes back to the overseas trip or outside of, the beginning of the basketball season. But Oral Roberts is a very good basketball team. Oral Roberts is a basketball team that we always have trouble with in basketball, just like we always have trouble with them in baseball, traditionally. This is really good to kind of get the monkey off the back, because it wasn't just a W. We absolutely demolished Oral Roberts. And we've been saying for the last year and a half, even last year, there was never really a point in the season where we played a complete 40-minute basketball game. There was stretches where we looked really good. There were stretches that our defense was one of the best defenses in the country, but never were we able to put it all together. Is 5-5 good? No. Is 5-5 good in Mike Boynton's 7th year? No. But we were hovering around like the 180th in the country in experience range coming into the season. So we knew the youth was going to take a little bit of time to gel. And this is exactly why when we covered it a little bit earlier on or last week when we talked about basketball, is it wasn't looking good. This has to be a winning year for Mike Boynton. I don't care how good the Big 12 is. But it wasn't time to completely throw up the sails quite yet because we were losing close. Consolation prizes are ridiculous, but we weren't getting boat raced in a lot of these games. And then finally, against ORU over the weekend, you have multiple guys get in on the double figure action. Bryce Thompson looked good. Eric Daly had some monstrous putbacks and looked good in transition. Keon Q. Williams, he's that linebacker style of dude that's kind of reminiscent of an Ice Likely, but he's proving to be considerably more athletic than Ice Likely with the same leadership style of qualities. Isaiah Miranda, we know what he can be, but it's nice to have somebody like a Mike Marsh or Brandon Garrison to kind of spell some of that and change it up a little bit down low, because Brandon Garrison does have the ability to stretch the floor while also being a pretty daggone good defender. Bryce has been dealing with a little bit of a nagging injury. It appears as though maybe over the weekend he was kind of able to get right again. And Eric Daly Jr. shot 50% from three-point land and had a double-double that wasn't super flashy, but he had another one against Creighton. So he's kind of becoming the maybe not flashy guy, but the consistency. And then you take into consideration guys like Justin McBride still have the ability to figure it out. Connor Dow can come in stretches and hit buckets. I think Naz Brown can even be a pretty viable defender in crucial minutes if necessary. So is it too early to say we're figuring it out? Yes, it is. It is too early to say we're figuring it out. But Big 12 basketball, you got to figure something out. We'll cover women's basketball real quick, but let's talk about Big 12 basketball and where the poll sits now. You ready for this? Number 1 team in America, Purdue. Number 2 team in America, Big 12, KU. Number 3, Big 12, Houston. Number 4, Big 12 incoming, Arizona. Number 5, UConn. Number 6, Marquette. Number 6, outgoing Big 12, OU. Number 10, Big 12, Baylor. Number 11, North Carolina. Number 12, Creighton. Number 13, Illinois. 14, Florida Atlantic. 15, possible Big 12, Gonzaga. Number 16, Colorado State. 17, Big 12, BYU. 18, Clemson. 19, Big 12, Texas. And then when you look at the receiving votes, you've got Colorado. You've got Utah. You've got Iowa State. You've got TCU. And then maybe future Big 12 and Miami. The Big 12 runs basketball. But if Oklahoma State, if we can continue to maybe find the groove at the right time, defensively, I have no doubt we'll figure it out. We were very good defensively last year. And I mean, we didn't look so hot at the beginning of this year defensively, but we seem to be coming around. And then you look at the Big 12 slate, what that top 25 gives you is opportunities to find yourself, flailing, but also opportunities to give yourself a shot in March. And if you give yourself a shot in March and you're playing the right ball at the right time, it doesn't really matter what the early part of the season looked like. Staying in the vein of basketball, our Cowgirls got it done to improve to 6-3 and a perfect 6-0 inside Gallagher Iba Arena. And the beauty of this one is a healthy Cowgirl basketball squad can definitely make some moves. Now, when I've had the ability to watch the Cowgirls this year, it's been with like 7, 8 players. Well, we finally got to see the debut of Hannah Gusters, and it was as impressive as everybody could have hoped. Everybody's been waiting on it, and she comes in dropping 21 points. Like, okay. And then we get a freshman to chip in. Staley Hurd adds 18. And then on top of that, we get Quincy Noble. And then, of course, Anna Greta Asi can come in and hit threes at crucial times, as she did in this game, right next to Lawyer Garzon, that allows the runs to continue to go. On the defensive side of the ball, not too bad. And they had a very good player in Lene Randall. Lene Randall can play some basketball, and she can probably end up at this level pretty easily. But if the Cowgirls can be healthy, and if we can get in a position where we're playing with a full roster, we can be a pretty deadly team that makes a very good run. The problem is obviously staying healthy. But having, Quincy Noble back in the fold is big time. So if we continue, both men's and women's basketball can give us something to look forward to this season and the hardwood. When Oklahoma State women's basketball is down to 7, 8 players, we're still finding ways to win or be very competitive. We haven't really had the full use of the roster until recently, and we've even still got some banged up people that we're trying to work back in. So I feel like there's a lot of positivity for women's basketball if we can stay healthy. And then men's basketball, if you can get hot in this conference, you're going to find yourself with a seat at the table in March. And that's when the fun can get even better, because anything can happen. All right. Taco Recom Tech, thank you very much for getting the first Big 12 Bowl W and doing so in pretty emphatic fashion, right? Most of the second half, Texas Tech clearly was in control. Taj Brooks coming just shy of 100 yards with 99 yards, but then Texas Tech gets even more good news, followed up by that, because the announcement of Taj Brooks to come back for another season has been made. They also stole the tight end I wanted from Elon, John Carlos Miller, but congratulations to Texas Tech. We're glad that we got the first W in the Big 12 Bowl slate. And I know there's a couple Big 12 Bowl games I hadn't picked yet because just, all of the roster madnesses and transfer portals and stuff that is going on. But we'll make our official picks on the rest of those tomorrow, because that'll be good. All right, y'all. That's all we're going to have for this one right here. I got to give a shout out. Thank you. If any of my O State audience did, in fact, tune in to the other channel, Prospect 7-on-7 Sports, I greatly appreciate it. We highlighted a young linebacker that's up and coming. We actually did our first comp ever on the show, and Nicholas Martin. So thanks to everybody. I appreciate you. I'm very excited to be back on the road, heading to Texas and Georgia, California, Mississippi, and Kansas, Colorado, a bunch of other states to hit high school football. Pretty excited for it. All right, y'all. I love you. As always, God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. You could be anywhere, so happy you choose to be here. All right, y'all. Later, taters.